Everybody, it's your boy Deshaun here again on Average Joe Sports for this week. Sorry I didn't get a chance to give you not an Idaho preview. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but sorry I couldn't give you guys an Illinois preview. I was a little preoccupied. I just closed up my show with the Wild Party. Got another show coming up next. I'm in Shrek, playing none other than the donkey, so be prepared for plenty of jokes about donkey shows, and hopefully you guys will get grossed out. But again, we're here to talk about sports. We're not here to talk about theater. So let's get down to it. Dogs are coming in at 2-0. They had a victory against the Illinois Fighting Illini. This game was not actually played in, I believe they play in Champaign, Illinois. Instead, they were playing over at Soldier Field. So this is more of a neutral site game than anything else. So they wound up beating Illinois by a score of 34-24. For the most part, the offense looked wonderful. I mean, he had Keith Price he had 342 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the boy was slinging it around like it was going out of style. Bishop Sankey, again, beastly. Again, 35 carries, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got 1 rushing and 1 receiving. Collier also came in. He got his own, did some work down there in between the tackles as well. That's for 6 carries, 66 yards. Got a touchdown of his own. Kevin Smith, though he didn't score a touchdown or a receiving touchdown, he was definitely super duper important in the passing offense. ASJ, it was his first game back. He didn't do all that hot, to be perfectly honest with you. But you know, he got his reps in, and for the most part, you know, he looked really, really good. Sorry, I was gonna look up his stats here, but I forgot to write those down. I'll get them to you here in a minute. But let's look at the one glaring detail here. The Husky defense, they actually wound up getting 1 interception, so they made Shalehouse look a little bit vulnerable until the end of the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter. The Dogs gave up 21 points in the second half. It wasn't necessarily the whole second half, but it started in the 3rd quarter, and it came back to them in the 4th quarter. They started out giving just a 71-yard bomb from Shalehouse to their receiver, which I don't actually have those stats up right now. But they made Shalehouse look like an absolute genius. However, this is still a problem, because the defense likes to be very lackadaisical. If you remember Apple Cup, they gave up 18 points in the second half. They totally just put the brakes on in the 3rd and in the 4th quarter, and they almost wound up losing this game too. So that's definitely something that has to be worked on. They got to be focused every single time. And I know, thinking about Apple Cup, I know a lot of people want to sit back and blame Keith Price for that loss, but again, he can't go out there and make the tackles on the defensive end of the field. If you give up 18 points as a defense, you deserve to lose. Again, just like in this game, you give up 21 points, especially in the Pac-12, you're going to lose 99.9% of the time. And this is that 0.01% that they're talking about that you're still able to get away with in the game. You know, you're up. Like, you're up 31-10 going into the 4th quarter. You give up a quick 14 points. What's that about? I mean, let's just be real about it. So that's definitely something that continuously has to change. But again, a win's a win. We go into our 3rd non-conference game at 2-0, which is something. And not only that, but we're going in 2-0 and we're still ranked. So being ranked for consecutive weeks in a row, that's the first time that's happened since, I believe, 2001, I want to say. So that's a big deal too. And again, we beat 2 big opponents. First opponent being Boise State. That's just a big team, not necessarily part of a big conference, but we also beat a Big Ten team in this out of conference season as well. So both of those wins are important. It's just the defense has got to step it up. I want to see that defense that I saw versus Boise State. I don't want to see this shoddy defense anymore. It's got to stop. It absolutely 110% has to stop. But other than that, though, the game was really, really good. And yeah, the defense needs a little bit more work. They need to quit being lackadaisical about it. They go in tomorrow playing Idaho State. Which is funny because we just played Boise State, and you've got a lot of people from Idaho going, Boise's not a state! So we now know the state college. It is actually Idaho State, home of the Bengals. Coming out of the Big Sky Conference, they're also undefeated going into this game at 2-0. They play a school called Western State. Last week, they won by a score of 29-3. Just to give you just a quick synopsis of what they have. Their quarterback has the last name Arias. He threw for 429 yards and threw for 2 touchdowns. One of the wide receivers, Richmond, 12 receptions, 152 yards. He also got a touchdown. And Wright with 7 receptions, 89 yards and 1 touchdown. One glaring thing is they don't have much of a running game just based on those gaudy numbers as a whole. Most times in their running backs kind of left in the negative. So this should be an easy game for the Dogs to win. However, despite the fact that we are 19-point favorites, I do kind of consider this a somewhat of a trap game. And, you know, I know people go, well, we should beat Idaho State. Yes, and we absolutely should. And I'm absolutely certain that we will. However, it's games like this where, you know what, players get a little lackadaisical. Maybe they're not completely 110% focused on what's going on and saying, oh, this should be a real easy game. And boom, suddenly you are playing in a close game against another Big Sky Conference team, because I want to say Eastern's in the same conference as well. And, you know, you wind up winning by only 7 points. And that's the thing that we can't have as a team. Because, like, you know, I'm playing and stuff. Obviously, I'm not. But it's the one thing that the Dogs can't have. So I'm hoping for an absolute routing of a victory in this game. I'm not going to give you an actual score, but it should be pretty up there. It should be a lot to pretty much nothing. That's about as best as you're going to get from me. So, again, as long as the Dogs' defense, you know, plays real staunch for 4 straight quarters of football, I think this team can actually still get those 9 wins that I was talking about in my Huskies season preview. So yeah, again, scary game last week against Illinois, and a game that shouldn't have been scary in the first place. But hopefully they get it right going into the Pac-12 season next week. So yeah. So that's all I got for you today. Let's go Dogs. By the way, 49er fans, quit being a bunch of whiners. It happens. I'm not a Seahawks fan, but let's just be real about it. You write your editor. You can't do that. It's noise. It's crowd noise. If you want to watch something quiet, watch golf. On the real. But that's just me. That's enough smack talk from me. That's all I got for you guys today. Peace out, y'all.